Go ahead and get started. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending the Spartan Pathways travel presentation featuring AHI Travel. If you haven't joined us before, I'm Regina Cross and I direct the Spartan Pathways program. Spartan Pathways is our longstanding travel program of the MSU Alumni Office. And before we get started, to avoid any background noise, if you could keep your screen muted throughout the presentation. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat and we'll address those at the end of the presentation. And this session is also being recorded. And once the video is finalized, I will send it out to everyone. Okay, on to our featured presenter. Today we have Bob Carpenter. He's the Vice President of Sales at AHI Travel. AHI Travel is the premier operator of deluxe group travel programs in North America. AHI was the first travel company to develop tours exclusively for college and university alumni, and all of AHI's travel programs feature a strong educational component. So welcome, Bob, and take it away.
Okay, thank you, Regina. Can everybody hear me okay? Can you hear me, Regina?
Yeah, okay. Yes, I can.
Well, anyway, welcome. Thanks for joining us today. Excited to talk to you a little bit about some of our second half 2023 programs with Spartan Pathways, and maybe give you a little sneak peek ahead at some of the things we got going in the first half of 2024. Just to let you know, we've been working with Michigan State now probably close to 50 years. And have a great relationship. You have a great leader there, and Regina runs a fabulous program, and we're just delighted to have such a great long-standing relationship with Michigan State and Regina. I see a familiar face, Bob Bow. Hey, Bob. And I'm hoping I might see some other familiar faces. I got back just last month from a trip on our holiday markets cruise that had Michigan State folks on it, and we had a great time. It was a little cold, but we had a good river cruise down, and I'm going to talk to you about another river cruise coming up here in just a moment. But first, before I get into the trips themselves, please forward. Oh, Regina doesn't want to go forward now, of course. We did check it right before we came on live. There we go. Okay. All right. Well, skipped over just the logo slide, and that's okay. Let me tell you a little bit about AHI Travel. Regina already touched on it. But we've been around since 1962, so last year was our 60th anniversary. We're based out of Chicago, Illinois. We started working with members of the Big Ten soon thereafter, and probably 1964 was one of our first university alumni trips. Prior to that, the founders of the company had been providing student travel programs. They were graduates of Notre Dame, and after a couple of years of trying to put together student programs, they thought, you know, working with alumni is going to be a lot better market. So we've been in this market for ever since, and love it. It's a wonderful niche market. And when you travel with us, you're going to be traveling with other like-minded individuals, if not just from Michigan State, but also from universities around the country, US and Canada. We work with more than 140 universities to provide these programs, as well as Smithsonian journeys. We're a member of USTOA. That's important if you're going to be traveling with a tour operator. We have certain minimums we have to maintain concerning fiduciary interest. So you always need to look for that if you're choosing a tour operator. Our itineraries are exclusive to us. We develop them ourselves. We don't sell them at any retail travel agencies. Ours are all fully escorted tours, meaning that porterage, you don't ever have to worry about your luggage. Once the airlines get your luggage there, I had just had that experience, unfortunately. And we also include the tips for guides and drivers on our tours. Fully escorted, if you have not experienced these tours, means that when you get to your destination, you'll be met by our travel staff outside of customs after you clear, and they will be with you the entire time for your journey. And they are there to make sure that your experience is a good one, a safe one, a positive one, and they are there for you. As Regina mentioned, we do have an educational component. We usually have local lecturers, usually either university professors that we contract with to come in and do education light. They're not heavy lectures, but they usually are going to address aspects of that day's program or perhaps the next day's excursion. We do have a dedicated air department. A lot of tour operators have given up the ghost on that. That can come in very handy for you. A lot of people do want to book their own air now, and that's fine too. But by booking air through us, you do have several advantages. We don't issue the tickets until about 40 days prior to departure. When you book it online yourself, you're stuck with that ticket after 24 hours. And if something comes up, the airlines are not very nice about it. And we'll speak a little bit more about this later on, but we also give you chances to personalize your journey during the trip, meaning that all of our excursions are included in the program, but at certain destinations, and particularly on the river cruises, you'll have an option of choosing 1 to 3 different excursions. Sometimes they're going to be culinary, sometimes they're going to be behind the scenes at the opera, like we do in the SIN program. It might be the an insider's tour of the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam. But you have that ability within our itineraries to personalize them to your particular interests. So, speaking of rivers, let's first talk about the Danube Passage. I have 2 dates down here because of the success of the program in 23, we're going to run it again with you guys in 24. This one is coming up pretty quick now in May 24th, but we still do have cabins available if this is something that would be of interest. And we're seeing a lot of people book a little later now than they traditionally have done. But this is our one of our most popular river cruises, and I will tell you a little bit about it. It starts off in Prague. You get 3 nights there, and then we'll transfer down by motor coach to Passau and meet our river cruiser there, and then have a wonderful 8-night cruise down the beautiful Danube River with lots and lots of stops, 6 European capitals along the way. And once you're on board the ship, of course, you just unpack one time. And then we end up going past Budapest. A lot of the itineraries you see will stop at Budapest, but we go beyond and go to Belgrade and then down to through the Iron Gate, gorge there on the Danube, which for a lot of people is want to see one time in their life. And then we'll end up with 2 nights in Sofia, Bulgaria. Really a fascinating city. So I'm going to just go you some pretty pictures. As I mentioned, starting off in Prague, city of 100 spires, we have this beautiful Art Deco hotel there that is 2 blocks off the main square there. It's a fascinating hotel. It's got the most famous coffee shop in town in its lobby area, but every doorway in this hotel is different. And it's just fascinating to walk through the halls and check out the many different doorways. Sometimes the door handles are in the middle of the door, sometimes they're on the left, sometimes they're on the right. Fascinating place. And Prague itself, of course, is a beautiful city and perfect time to be there in late May when the life of the squares really gets going. Then we're going to transfer down to Passau, as I mentioned, and we're going to get on the brand new Amadeus Star. If you all have really good eyesight and a really good TV screen, you can see that's not the star on the lettering on that ship, but it is an updated version of that. It's Amadeus ships are all based on the same design essentially. And the Star is going to be the newest one in their lineup. What's nice about these river cruises, if you haven't been on them before, the capacity is about 160 passengers total. But because this river cruise and most of our other river cruises are no single supplement programs, meaning if you're a solo traveler, you don't have to pay an additional fee. We usually sail at about 130 passengers on a 160 capacity ship. So that's great for you. That's great for the space in the public areas and the restaurants and the lounges. It's just a great way to experience Europe from the deck of a beautiful little river cruiser. You're never far from shore. You don't have to worry about seasickness at all. And every time you make a stop, you're pretty much going to be right in the heart of the city to where we're docking. And I really think the Danube is the most beautiful of the European rivers. It certainly is the most storied in song, but it's a great way to experience the second longest river in all of Europe. One of the first stops after you leave Passau is Melk Abbey, which is spectacular, and it's got one of the most dramatic, unbelievable libraries I've ever seen. It's a short stop. It's about 2-3 hours, but it's well worth it. And then on to Vienna, fantastic capital of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, which, believe it or not, seems like it's ancient history, but it dissolved just over 100 years ago. But you will have a chance to learn a great deal about that vanished empire while there, or you can just take in the sights. We will be stopping in Budapest, of course, and I'm leaving out some of the other capitals that we do on this itinerary, but Bratislava is another one that's just a gorgeous town. We'll stay in Budapest. This is up on the Buda side of the river. There's Buda on one side and Pest on the other. And we will do, in addition to exploring the town, both sides of the river, we'll have a nighttime cruise along the riverbanks there, underneath the very famous Chain Bridge, and along the Houses of Parliament in Budapest. That is a remarkable evening. And then, as I mentioned, we'll go through the Iron Gate Gorge on our way to Sofia, Bulgaria. And I mentioned this earlier, personalize your journey. This is actually one of the optionals on this Danube River cruise, that you can get in on a bike and ride along the river itself. They have beautiful biking paths along the Danube, but you have some other options on that day. I think it's actually offered 2 days. You have some other options there if you're not in the mood to hop on a bike. But this is going to be true on just about every one of the stops along the way, that you'll have this chance to personalize your journey. All right, that's our Danube River. And then on to the next one, Bali, Singapore, Thailand, and Angkor Wat in October of this fall. Just a beautiful trip. We're going to start off in Bali. And that's a great place to relax after your long journey to get there. We stay in a beautiful hotel property there right on the beach that's run by the Belmond Corporation, which is one of the finest hotel chains in the world. Not really a chain, collection of hotels. Then we'll stay there to get you acclimated and relaxed. And then we're going to fly up to Singapore. Fascinating place, and then on to Bangkok. And then after several days in Bangkok, we're going to fly over to Siem Reap and see the Angkor Wat complex, which is absolutely fascinating. I don't have a picture of the Bali hotel, but it's gorgeous. It's really a treat. And then on to Singapore. Fascinating place, beautiful place, very clean, very modern. One of the highlights of the city is to see this that 3-tower hotel complex that's across the bay from where our hotel is. And that little platform up top there that you see, that actually has a couple of bars and restaurant, and also the longest swimming pool of any hotel in the world. Fascinating place. Then on to Bangkok. We stay in the Peninsula Hotel right on the river there, and you will see and experience the beautiful chaos that is Bangkok, Thailand. It's a gorgeous country. The people are unbelievably welcoming and friendly and gentle, and it's just a wonderful, very foreign experience, but a very welcoming one. We'll tour the palaces. We'll see the huge lounging Buddhas. We'll take some river cruises. So you get to see what's kind of in the little backwaters that are off the river and how people make their livings there. And we'll see the dragon boats zigzagging back and forth across the river all day, just missing each other by inches. It's a fascinating place. We'll take the group on tuk-tuk ride to see some of the city, some of the most lively parts of the city, and then on to the palace, main palace. This is, again, one of the stops that we'll see in Bangkok. And then it's on to Angkor Wat in Cambodia. Fascinating complex there, and we'll have our expert guides there to walk you through the ruins and explain the significance, both culturally and architecturally. So to a very different part of the world for this fall, we actually have 2 dates operating with Michigan State folks on it, October 24 and October 31. So you have your choice. Egypt right now is a very popular destination. It sometimes flags in popularity if there's some kind of negative activity going on over there, but there hasn't been in recent years, and it is a very, very popular destination and very popular program. The first date there is almost sold out. I think we've got a couple of spaces left on that, but we do have plenty of room on the October 31. I love our program. I think it's a very strong itinerary. We stay in some great hotels, particularly in Cairo, the Four Seasons, right on the Nile. You'll fly in overnight and then fly into Cairo that day, the following day, and we'll stay 3 nights there. Have plenty of time to visit we hope, the new Egyptian Museum. They keep putting off when it's going to be open, but by this October, they are really hopeful that it's going to be available. And we'll be going out to the pyramids of Giza, of course. You'll have an opportunity to ride a camel if you want. And of course, and we'll see the Sphinx out there. And we also visit some of the older pyramids that are actually much older than the ones at Giza. Really fascinating history. You'll also have the opportunity to go down into one of the pyramids if you so desire. It's pretty spooky. Anyway, then we're going to fly down to Luxor, where we will meet our ship, which is a 110 passenger ship. This is not a full charter for us. It'll just be our group of 24 on board, along with other mostly British tourists. But we do a very leisurely 3-night cruise up the Nile, and then end up in Aswan, the Valley of the Kings, and fly you up to Abu Simbel for the day, come back, and then at the end of the time there in Aswan, we'll fly back to Cairo, stay up at a beautiful new hotel up near the airport on the way home. And just some of the sites, this is something that I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to visit, and I think most of us have this as on the list of things that we want to experience in person. This is Abu Simbel, a more recent find. Karnak, the temples of Karnak, huge, huge carvings. Valley of the Kings and Queens. This is also a relatively new interactive experience there. Absolutely beautiful. And Luxor, the temples at Luxor. And then moving a little up the to the north from there, you're talking about Spain, Andalusia, that we're going to be in a Spanish Parador. Beautiful time to be in southern Spain, early November. This is a Parador. Well, I'll show it to you. We're staying in Antequera, which you might not be familiar with. There's lots of other towns around there whose names you will recognize. But you see from the map the reason why we stay there. It's so centrally located. It's very easy motor coach transfers to the sites that you really want to see in southern Spain: Sevilla, Cordoba, Ronda, Granada, and Malaga. We'll fly in and out of Malaga. So it's very convenient transfer to get to Antequera from there. Antequera, Spain itself is a beautiful little city with a fortress overlooking the town. And this is the Parador. If you're familiar with Spanish Paradors, you might think of the old historic properties that usually government properties that have been converted into hotels, beautiful hotels. This is a modern one. This is one that has been built recently in the last 10 years, but it's beautifully situated, as you can tell, looking out over this spectacular valley. And we have our welcome reception right there where the tables are. And it's a great welcome to Spain with a little tapas and a little Rioja. We will go to Sevilla, of course, that's a must. The beautiful palaces there. Granada and the Alhambra, we spend the whole day there. It's fascinating Moorish architecture. And Ronda, this very famous gorge that overlooks another spectacular valley and has one of the oldest bullfighting rings in the country there. No bullfighting, but one of the rings in a museum. And then Malaga on the Mediterranean Sea. Yet another bullfighting ring there, but as probably most of you know, they pretty much discontinued that practice throughout the country. You will have an opportunity to spend a day in Malaga. We don't have it as part of the regular excursions, but it is very easy to get into town, and we can arrange that for you. Right on the Med, and just a gorgeous town. All right, then moving over to Italy, Florence, we're calling this in the serene season. I don't make these names up, but what that means is you're going there when the cruise ships aren't there. Cruise ship crowds, I should say. November is actually a beautiful time to be there. I've been there in early November, and it's a little cooler, which is nice when you're touring in Florence in particular. And the weather is still holding out for the winter rains, but really a nice time to be there. And the concept is, this is one of our Unpack One Time programs. You'll get into the city center of Florence. We have a beautiful hotel there, and you'll be there in the evenings when most of the tourist crowds are gone. A wonderful time to enjoy a spectacular city. We'll be based in Florence, but we're going to go out and explore around Tuscany as well. San Gimignano, Chianti, Siena in particular. But you're going to have plenty of time to explore Florence on your own. This is, for a lot of tours, you get a couple of nights. Some you don't even get to stay overnight to really explore Florence. There's so much to see that you really can't do it justice. You can't really do it justice in a week, but you have much better opportunity to do it that way. Florence itself, a beautiful town, thriving town, great Renaissance town with so many of the spectacular buildings still accessible and beautifully available right on the Arno River. And here is Il Duomo, which is the center cathedral there in the heart of town. We'll spend some time there, as well as in the bell tower there, exploring the fantastic architecture there. It was really groundbreaking in its design and architecture. The Ponte Vecchio, of course, you'll have time to go wander there. The jewelry stalls where they fleece the tourists now, instead of the butcher shops that used to be there. They throw the carcasses into the river. But it's a fantastic place to have a bite to eat and a stroll and check out the very expensive jewelry. Piazza della Signora is kind of the heart of town. This is where the David copies are located. We'll also, of course, be going to the Academy to see the actual David masterpiece. And you'll get to go to the Uffizi and have some time there. That is a magnificent, gigantic gallery, museum gallery. And you can't do it justice in an hour. So you'll have plenty of time to enjoy that. Just a great way to relax and get the best of a beautiful town that really needs time to absorb it all. We'll go out to the countryside in Chianti. We'll have a wine tasting out there. Go to San Gimignano, where the world's first skyscrapers were built back in medieval times. Go to Siena, at the Piazza del Campo, where they have the very famous horse race there every year, round and around and around the piazza, and the Siena Duomo. We also go to the Colle del Val d'Elsa, the Valley of Elsa, and spend a day there and have a wonderful luncheon and food tastings there. And we'll spend plenty of time marveling at this fantastic Tuscan landscape. And that's some of them for later half of 2023 that we have available. Regina can fill you in on any others that we might still have availability on. But I did want you to get a little sneak peek ahead at 2024. As we've already gone out, showed our wares to everybody, and Regina has made some great picks. The first one's going to be Israel and Jordan in February, a great time to be there. I've got the image here of Petra because that is such a striking place. In the past, we've done this tour of Israel that's been very well received, and then had Petra and Jordan as an additional cost, optional extension, stuff like that. We figured out a way now to combine all of them at a great price. And so we'll do our traditional Israel tour, Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, up to Galilee, staying in Tiberias, see Masada, and then we end up actually in the Dead Sea area. And we'll stay at a beautiful resort there on the last night of our visit. But you do have 1 night in Amman, Jordan, and then 2 nights actually in Petra at a beautiful hotel there. So you'll really have a good chance to explore this just unbelievably fascinating carvings into the stone walls of Petra. And you can ride another camel if you so desire. Or a mule. You can also ride donkeys down there, which is kind of fun. All right, now this is a different one. I know you're from cold country, most of you, and you're saying, why would I want to go to Finland in the middle of the winter? Well, because of the Northern Lights is one reason, but also check out this picture of the accommodations that we will be using way up north in Lapland territory, where you'll be able to see the Northern Lights in the evening. And in addition to that, we've got some great excursions planned for Helsinki. You're going to go over to Tallinn in Estonia for a day when you're in Helsinki. And we'll when we go up north, we'll do some dog mushing. You'll get to do it yourself with a guide, and some snowshoeing. So it'll all be a lot of fun. And you all have the clothes for it, so you could handle it. 2024 is going to be the 80th anniversary of the D-Day invasions, and so we've got a program for you there in the summer. It's going to be a great time to be there. We are based in Honfleur in Normandy, a beautiful, charming little seaside town. And we spend a lot of time over at the landing beaches. We'll go to Caen, where they have the Peace Memorial and Peace Museum there. That's, I think, one of the best examples of historic museums. And we'll go to Bayeux, see the famous tapestry there. But of course, we'll go to Omaha Beach, Arromanches, which is where one of the big landing facilities was based, Pointe-du-Hoc, and Utah Beach as well. And unlike a lot of itineraries that concentrate on D-Day, the D-Day area, we're going to go over to Mont Saint-Michel, which is pictured there on the left, which is really kind of a once-in-a-lifetime visit in a spectacular setting. And some other exciting new destinations for 2024. We're going to go to Austria and do 4 nights in Salzburg, 4 nights in Graz, which is in the eastern part of the country. Hadn't been there in a while as a standalone program, so we're excited about getting back to that beautiful part of the world. Salzburg itself is just a little jewel box of a city. And Graz is a great jumping off point to explore that part of the country. Swiss Alps and Italian lakes. We stay in St. in Switzerland for 4 nights, and then go down to Stresa, in the Italian lakes on Lake Maggiore. Beautiful program, and one that we've run many times. Scotland, we're going back to Scotland in August for the Edinburgh Military Tattoo. That will be one of the highlights. But we'll also get out and explore around the country, go up to Lake Loch Lomond and the Trossachs, the beautiful forest up there. And we'll spend some more time in Edinburgh as well. And then Portugal, we've got a new program down in the southern part of the country, that right where it borders Spain. Alentejo, I believe is how they pronounce it. It's a charming town and a great jumping off point. You get over to Lisbon for a day. You get over to Évora, which is a beautiful medieval city. And you'll also go into Spain some as well and explore those towns around that border. And we've got more for 2024, but those are just some of the early ones in the beginning of the year. So no single supplement, I mentioned that earlier, for solo travelers, which is a great advantage. As most of you know, if you do travel solo, that they can hit you up pretty bad for supplements. So on our Grand Danube Passage program, that's not 2021, that's 2023. And Spain 2023, both of those are no single supplement programs, meaning you do not pay an additional supplement to travel by on your own. So that's my little spiel there, Regina. We got some people in the waiting room.
Added them. All right. Thank you, Bob, very much. Do we have any questions on any of these programs that Bob presented today?
I'm just wondering if you assist travelers with adding on time before or after a trip.
Yes, absolutely. We'll be glad to do that.
Yeah.
Your passenger service representative, once you book, you'll be assigned a passenger service representative who will be your contact through the entire process, and you can work with them. There is a fee if we end up booking stuff for you and stuff like that, but it's not much. I think it's $50 or something. So, but yes, we're glad to do that. We do that a lot.
Yes, and Bob, can you talk about the AirFlex program as well?
Yeah, I mentioned earlier a little bit about the benefits of booking air through us. You know, back in the day, it used to be you try to get a whole group out of one gateway city and everybody fly pretty much at the same time. And airlines would give you a discount for booking group travel that way. Well, that's no more. The internet happened, and so they don't need us to book group seats anymore. But we have flexed by having a system in place where you can pretty much just pick and choose whatever gateway, whatever airline, whatever routing that you're interested in taking, and our air department will help you book that. And I mentioned that advantage earlier of it not being, that ticket won't be issued until 40, 45 days prior to departure. So if something comes up and you have to cancel, then you're not on the hook for that ticket. The other advantage there is we monitor flights 24 hours a day. Our air department does. We've got 24-hour customer service available. If you know, you have an interruption in service, as the airlines like to say, you know, once you get to Europe, we'll have somebody that can work on that along with the airlines. So it does have its advantages, but we know the internet. We know that, you know, the way they sell these seats now, it's an algorithm, and if they want to get rid of a seat, they price it at a certain level. So what our price is, what we quote you, might not be the cheapest, but there are some advantages for going through us. So
Great, wonderful. Also, and do we have any other questions at all? Okay, Bob, can you speak a little bit about requirements to travel with AHI in terms of COVID requirements at this point?
At this point, we are still requiring everyone to be vaccinated to travel on our programs.
Okay, wonderful.
We're suggesting boosters as well, but we're just requiring the vaccination. And this is in part because of our suppliers in Europe and elsewhere.
Yes.
That makes it a requirement.
All right. Any other questions before we move on to the door prize drawing? Okay. Well, I want to say that AHI has graciously given us 3 $500 vouchers for future travel with AHI. And Bob, those are good until, is it December 31st, 2024?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I have my trusty little bucket here, and I'm going to go ahead, and along with the vouchers, we have some other Michigan State items that will be given away. So I'm going to dig in and choose the first one. Nicholas Roberts, are you there?
I'm here.
All right. Well, congratulations. Well, Bob, will you send those to me and I'll forward them on, or do you want to send them directly to them?
If you could just get the full name and the email address, we will send them directly to them.
Okay. All right. That's what I'll do. Okay.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
All right. On to the next voucher. Bob Bow. Wonderful, Bob. That's great. Okay, and then the third and last voucher. Yeah, oops, I grabbed it. Sorry about that. Okay, Alice Moison. Alice, are you there? All right. Great. Okay, the next we have is the Michigan State t-shirt. This one is gray, and what you'll just, we'll email you to find out what size you'll need. So, okay, and Michael Suzanne. Michael, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right.
Good deal. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next, we have a Michigan State passport holder. It's leather and it has a little Spartan head on it. Jean Beeland. Jean, are you there? Okay, wonderful. All right, and next we have a Michigan State cap. Little cap there. Goes to Sarah Saltzman. Is Sarah there?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, next we have another Michigan State t-shirt, green. Susan Harris. Susan, are you there?
Yes.
I see your name. Okay, all
Thank you.
right, wonderful. On to the next, we have a Spartan head magnet. You can stick it on your refrigerator or the side of your car or whatever. Okay. Kate Wright. Kate, are you there?
I'm here.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Next, we have another Michigan State cap. Okay, Karen Corley. Hi, Karen.
I'm here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, and our last prize is a Michigan's, it's a 500 piece. Oh, I don't know if you can see that. 500 piece puzzle, Michigan State puzzle. It's not coming through very well there. So, all right. For that. And Charlotte Wyndham. Charlotte,
Hey, I am here. Thank you, Virginia.
you're welcome. Okay, I will get those out to you probably next week. Well, thank you all for taking part in this. I want to mention that our presentation next week is with Poseidon Expeditions, sorry. Poseidon Expeditions. It's on Wednesday, January 18th at 2 p.m. Eastern. And we are offering a trip to Antarctica with them in 2023. So we'll be presenting on that. And the following week, a presentation again will be on Wednesday, January 25th with Gohagen and Company. So I really appreciate all of you joining us for this presentation. And thank you, Bob, very much for presenting and for graciously giving us the vouchers. So thank you all for attending and go green.
Boy.
See you next week.
Thank you,
Regina.
Regina and Bob.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
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 Thanks, Bob.
You're welcome.